You're listening to Your Worst Friend. Going deeper.
You're listening to Your Worst Friend, Going Deeper with Shane and Matt. I'm Matt, joined today by my co-host and friend, Shane.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you. We have a very special guest with us today, Miss Alison Rey. Now, I'm going to spell, people get a little annoyed because I spell out the plug every single time. So I'm going to spell out her name once for you, and then you plug and play. Or better yet, just go in the episode description and click all of her links, because you can do that too. So it's Alison Rey, Alison, 1L, and Rey is Rey. I want you to go and follow her on Instagram, Rayo Sunshine, Areyo Sunshine. Twitter, Alison Rey XXX. OnlyFans, Alison Rey XO. TikTok, Alison Unhinged. And you can check out all of her stuff at her main page at AlisonReyFans.com. Alison, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
When I was a kid, there was a girl I went to elementary school with named Allison. And in a way, she kind of looked like you. There are certain facial features and stuff. She was much less attractive than you. But she always used to chew on her hair. She was that girl in class.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that kid in class that always kind of chew on their hair and it was sopping wet and gross?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You weren't that kid, were you?
No.
Okay.
That was me.
Yeah, that's gross. First question out of the way. Cool. Can you tell us how you jumped into the industry, how you got your start? Who you started shooting with, stuff like that.
Sure. I got into the industry because I met a girl. My boyfriend and I at the time were on a swingers website. We were trying to find people closer to our age. It was all very new to me. And
Sure.
Most couples that are exploring non-monogamy are in their 30s, 40s. And I'm just this little 18-year-old. I'm like, I want somebody close to my age. So the one couple that we found, we were getting to know them as you do. And she was telling me, I asked her, what do you do for a living? And she was like, I'll tell you, but don't freak out. I was like, are you a drug dealer? What? And she's like, well, I do porn. I was like, cool, tell me about it. And she was a student like I was.
So much better than international arms dealer, right? You were relieved when you heard that.
Human trafficker.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's it? Okay, cool, whatever. And told her to tell me about it. And she did. And I was like, that sounds awesome. Because she is a student. She goes out to LA for a week, shoots, comes home, studies, uses her money for the next 3 weeks, and does it once a month. And I was like, that sounds like a really great way to make a living while I'm focused on my studies. So she helped me get an agent, went out to LA, shot my first few scenes. My first scenes were with Lethal Hardcore, ATK Girlfriends, Reality Kings, Team Ski, and Real Girls Play. I just kind of,
dove in.
Did all of the things the first week in porn.
So let me ask, is that typical of girls in the are you still good with that person or no? Because I've heard that story a million times, and those stories don't generally end well. I normally ask, are you still friends with that person? They're like, no, I burned their house down. I don't want to speak to them anymore. And you're like, oh, fuck. All right, good. Moving on. You still good with that person or no?
Well, she and I actually never even met in person. We never got there. It was just kind of texting, and she left the industry probably 6 months after that happened, and we didn't really keep in touch. So it's not that we're not good. We're just
nothing
actively friends. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Nothing in common after wanting to bang.
And it wasn't even, yeah, pretty much. It was I think she broke up with the guy that she was with at the time. And then there was, no swapping to happen. And she wasn't I don't think she was super attracted to my boyfriend at the time. It was just, it just didn't work out.
Sure. But you dove in, and it seems like you grabbed mainstream stuff right off the bat, right? Is that typical for a lot of girls that you've seen? Or I'll be honest with you, we've done work with Team Ski before. I'm very appreciative of all the big name sites and everything like that, especially the exposure they give. I like the grimy, dirtier sites, the sites that are not disgusting. I'm not talking about dogs and such, but the sites that are a little more oh, Metallica's playing in the background. That doesn't seem like a licensed song, but hey, it's there anyway. way.
Yeah,
You
when
know what
the
I'm talking
people are
about?
grimier.
Yeah, a little bit. Is it just that you were so beautiful? You were like, oh, all the major studios will just grab me right off the bat. It's okay. And then they took you on, or were you a good, sorry, my questions go on forever. Were you like
It's okay.
good work ethic? Like you really pushed hard to grab like the biggest names? Was that always your intention? Or were you just
Knew
like whoever
somebody.
pays the most?
Got it. Well, I honestly, I didn't, it was just kind of the side of the industry that I fell into, because she was shooting for, a lot, like she had an agent, OC modeling, and they're just like one of the mainstream agents. And so when I met her, like she just had contacts in the mainstream industry. And then when I found an agent, like the agent's in charge of getting me good work. And a lot of agents, especially if they're licensed in Los Angeles, they're going to only book you with, really reputable websites.
Sure.
So, and it was never really my goal, it was funny because when I got in the industry, I was very like, I wanted to dip my toe in. Like I was a little bit hesitant. I was like, I don't know if I really want anybody to see this. Like I want to like try it out first. So I even asked my agent to, book me with like some of the smaller sites to begin with, because
Sure.
I just wanted to be able to see what it was like before, potentially ruining my entire life, as they tell you we do. And it was, yeah, I actually never intended on making a career out of it, but here I am 8.5 years later. And
So I read that. I read an interview with you where you were 18 at the time. You'd shot 8 scenes or such, I think. And your stated goal in the thing was, I want to get out of this by the time I'm out of college. Now, are you doing like a Tommy Boy type of college thing? Are you still there 9 years later? Or are we are you getting your doctorate next week? Like, how's this working out?
I graduated a triple major in 2016.
What kind of degrees do you have?
Psychology, sociology, and justice.
How do those things help you in this industry? I'm not saying they don't. I'm actually
honestly,
asking. That was not sarcastic. Yeah.
No. Injustice. I mean, it's definitely not educated. I don't know. It's contributed to my social activism.
Sure.
So I volunteer for the Center for Positive Sexuality, and I've been very involved when the FSC or APAC is doing, if they're like doing any kind of like lobbying, like back when Prop 60 was a thing. I think that was like 2016, 2017. I try to be very active in those circles. And I guess sociology kind of plays in that too. So like justice and sociology have definitely opened my mind from how I was raised to being more open to, a diverse crowd of people in this industry, and not only just like the performers and the directors and crew members, but even outside, even like on the fan side. I feel like I've gotten a lot of benefit from what I've learned about people and groups of people, and how, groups interact with each other in othering. And
Sure.
It's just given me kind of a well-rounded perspective on the job here. I don't feel like I've ever been naive about what it would be. Well, okay. No, at the beginning I was definitely naive, but I hadn't graduated yet. I hadn't learned all of the things I had learned.
Yeah. You weren't certified yet. Sure.
Exactly.
Does that help you at all? Give advice to other performers or new girls coming into the industry? Or do you, I guess, rely more on your industry experience for that type of thing?
Definitely rely more on industry experience for that type of thing. I think it's more helpful in terms of marketing.
Sure.
Than anything.
Totally.
Can you?
Marketing is mostly psychology.
Sure. Can you?
Oh, did we freeze?
Yeah, your video froze up a little. Can you hear me? Yeah, no, maybe.
I can hear you.
I can hear you, Shane.
I can hear you both.
Cut out. Yes.
Oh, there
you are.
I hear
Perfect.
something now.
There you are. Can you see me?
Cool.
Hi, I'm moving my hands.
Yeah.
Can you? Because we do a series called Your Worst Friend, Brand New Faces, where we talk to new girls getting into the industry, try and give them like a step up, or also gather some of the information from the big names we've interviewed and kind of teach them. Not like we're educators.
I'm not teaching anybody.
Yeah, that's true. You're not. We try and tell them some of the ways that we've seen people try and scam them or get over on them. And I got to be honest, we've done some interviews where I look at the girl, and there's no offense to the girl themselves, and I'm not going to name any of them for that reason. And I go, I don't think they have the mentality for this. And I won't tell them that because I'm not going to pop a bubble, but maybe someone should and let them know. Does your sociology or psychology, any of those backgrounds, can you look at a new girl coming into the industry and go like 6 months? That's what she's got.
Yeah. Does having 3 degrees make you a fortune teller?
It does not. It does not, in fact, make me a fortune teller. But I think it's hard today, too, because, you know, if you had asked me this question 4 years ago, I think I might have said, yeah, I can tell who's going to be in and out. But now with OnlyFans, like, people can stay in for a really long time, like not working for, like, I think you do have to have a certain mental fortitude and work ethic in order to be successful in the mainstream, you know, industry shooting for studios. But now that it's, you know, gotten really diluted with a lot of OnlyFans creators, I just think the landscape is so different. I can't tell who's going to succeed and who's not, because, you know, somebody might do really, really well at home alone, while somebody else does really, really great at the studios.
Let me ask you a question, because I've been kicking this one around for a while. Who can make more money nowadays? A girl that looks 10 out of 10, or a girl that is a 6 out of 10, but knows the social media algorithms like it's the back of her hand?
I think it's the second one. I think
so
it's
too.
all about social media algorithms. And it depends. It depends on not even just social media algorithms, but how much bandwidth does she have to run her OnlyFans, or does she have a good enough team behind her that is making her that money? Because it's, you know, it's not even necessarily about who, you know, you ask who's going to make more money at 10 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10. I'm like, well, 6 out of 10 who knows social media algorithms probably understands marketing. She's going to make a good amount of money. However, what are the fans willing to pay her compared to a 10 out of 10? And how many more people are actually seeing, you know, like, it's so complicated. Yeah. I think it really depends on the girl, but
you
more likely the second.
Sure. You mentioned something else there too, and who's supporting her. And I get you meant the fans, but it's like, it made me think of like who's supporting the performer, as in, like, you know, you have your agent. I don't know if you have a manager separately or whatever. And I don't know how you shoot any content that you do on your own. But if you don't know how to use a camera, if you don't know how to edit or whatever, you're going to be lost, you know? So you've got to have either a background, or you've got to be a really quick learner, or you've got to have people to help you build your brand. So how did you, I know that you shot with Reality Kings, Team Skeet, you said, quite a few right at the beginning. Was it just a really good agent, and how do you keep the momentum going now? Is it just you, jack of all trades, or I guess Jill of all trades, or do you have like a bunch of folks, you know, helping you out, doing your makeup and editing your videos and stuff?
Sure. Two-part question. So at the beginning, it was just because I had a good agent who has, you know, they have all the contacts for the directors and all that. And especially sites like Team Skeet, Reality Kings love, like, you know, brand new girls, because it's such an appeal for them. So, you know, it wasn't too hard to get.
Take my wife, guys.
Yeah.
Not you two. The website.
No, gotcha.
Got it. And then now I don't have like a bunch of people, but I do have a small staff to help me with my social media posts, to help me manage my content. So there's some editing being done, uploading and tagging posts, or like tagging Pornhub videos, right? So all of the websites where you upload your clips, they want you to like write a description. You got to tag your coworkers. There's so many buttons you have to click in order to just upload a video.
Time consuming.
If you wanted to get, it's time consuming, and I just don't have that kind of time. So I have somebody helping me with that. And then I also have a live-in assistant, if you will, just kind of helping with like day-to-day tasks so I can kind of focus on creating content and stuff.
The key is, and we've said this in other interviews before, Shane, a while ago, you need a simp army is what I think you girls need. You girls really need someone like I'll see one of our first big interviews was Sarah J. We interviewed.
Wow. Yeah.
She's great, but you'll see, I mean, 10 times a day, some fan is letting her know, hey, there's a fake account of you out here, or retweeting her over here, or pushing this or whatever. And I think the most successful girls are the girls that really like hit a connection with fans where they're able to go like, hey, I need you just as much as you like watching my stuff. So maybe not I need you, like don't fucking come in my backyard, but you know, tag me in this, push this, promote this, do whatever. And I don't know that enough of you performers do that, like use those resources as well as you can. I'm not saying you necessarily, but just in general, I mean, you guys, some of you have hundreds of thousands of people who are like, hey, these guys, you know, at your beck and call, push it.
I think part of the problem with that is, well, it's twofold. One is then you're crossing a boundary from fan and supporter to somebody who then feels entitled to your time, your attention. A lot of times they will abuse, you know, whatever contact. Like if I've DM'd somebody one time because they offered something, like they will then DM, because unless I block them, and like I'm not trying to block anybody, unless I block them, it's highly likely that they're going to be DMing me all the time and then getting upset with me when I don't respond. So yes, having a simp army, great, but it's a slippery slope, you know, like, because they don't realize that even though, yes, we want help and we're willing to like show our appreciation and like even like give you a few freebies for it, like it does not grant you unlimited access to us, but that's what they think they're getting when you accept their help.
You're not on the staff is what it is.
Yeah, you would need another staff member to deal with them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, I just mean the guys doing this or the people doing this, you're not on the staff. Don't think you're being on the staff. I wonder if dominatrixes can get away with that a little bit easier.
Oh, I think they can. I think they absolutely can. Yeah. I have really been like, I kind of want to like get more into dom work just so I can have like a staff.
You can be a bitch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna so you mentioned some of your activism, right? Now, what is AIPAC? Who's the president of AIPAC? I feel like it's somebody we've talked to.
Biden?
No, I don't think it's Biden.
I don't know at this moment. I know I feel like they just turned over. It's been a minute since I've done any things for AIPAC.
Okay, but
I've been.
Sure. Tell me about your activism, though. Tell me about what you're interested in, what you're pushing, what you really want to, you know, get through with that kind of activism.
Sure. I'm really passionate about the humanization of sex workers. So I do that just with my brand in general, but also specifically with the Center for Positive Sexuality. So it's the Center for Positive Sexuality, Los Angeles. And we do all sorts of things. There's a research, division of our organization, and I am part of the education division. So I volunteer, and what we do is various colleges, mostly around California, though we have had like a few other colleges hire us at the center. So what they'll do is they will book a panel when we have, I want to say like 7 different categories of panels. And let's say it's a sex work panel. And there's a few different panels I'm part of because I identify that way. But for a sex worker panel, you know, they'll ask us who's available. And then we'll go and we'll talk to a class. We'll give our presentation on like what sex work is. And the primary goal of the center is to humanize the people involved in these various aspects, because it's so often sensationalized, like in the media and just, you know, in society in general, that we're just trying to like put faces to these ideas so people can see like, yeah, we are normal people that just, you know, like something a little bit different. And yeah, so that's, my focus right now is because they're all like college classes that are like human sexuality. So they are people that are already kind of open-minded to that. And then getting to talk to them directly. So we give our presentation, then they can ask questions, which is like the most valuable part of it, because then they can really see us like, it's not just giving like a robotic, lecture. It's They get to kind of connect with us as humans. And I think that more than anything, like that, like you were talking about, that individual connection that we can utilize, I think beyond just fans, that's how we break through the stigma of society, is actually connecting with more humans as much as possible.
Well, she has it in her bio. I don't know, it's Anna Fox right now has APAC president.
Right.
There you go. Yeah, we've interviewed her before.
We talked to her.
Yeah. She's great
One
too.
of my dream gals.
And she pushes it. Now, let me play devil's advocate. Let's have a little discussion here about this, right? And you'll be able to assess this with your psychology degree, because I just have a film degree, which means I get to be a podcaster. That's about it. And I can edit this real nice afterwards. Don't worry about it. So part of it is the when we talk about the humanization of sex workers and stuff like that, are we talking about legally? Are we talking about in the eyes of people? Are we talking, what do we want to do?
Hoping in all aspects.
I agree, but the main concern
just legally, we're still going to look at them like pieces of fucking garbage.
What are you talking? Okay,
I'm saying like, why?
Go ahead.
I'm making like a cynical point about.
Yeah, I know you said it with like no tone though, so it almost sounded like you were just like, ugh.
Oh yeah, well that was the point. Is so it sounded harsh and abrasive. Oh. But anyway. So, like the idea is like, why wouldn't they be humanized in every conceivable way? Like,
agreed.
If she tells me they're not trying to get them humanized in every way, then we're going to have a problem.
I agree. It was a stupid question. My point was more that I'm a big sports fan and I watch players get hounded for the things they do and stuff like that. And I wonder if there's a part of the psychology where viewers of porn dehumanize sex workers and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Right? But is there an aspect of it that, not that you agree with, not that you think is good by any stretch, but you kind of, can you understand why they do that to an extent?
100%. 100%. No, I completely understand it. I think the problem actually, I think the reason people do it is because of the shame that we have been taught to have around our sexuality in our society. Yeah. Because it's like a largely even though we're a little, we're moving past
even though we
Christian
call ourselves
America.
Progressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though we're moving past Christian America, it's still very there's still a lot of social norms that are still very much based in Christian values. And I think in order for people to enjoy their sexuality and masturbate to porn, there needs to be a certain level of objectification of the person, because if they were to accept that it was a real person, it would make them feel bad about what they're doing and watching, because they would see themselves as a bad person for watching this other person in such an intimate way. But because we can't openly express our desires and our just sexual interests, we have to separate ourselves from that experience, or most people do, in order to actually enjoy it.
So is the path to humanizing sex performers and sex workers is the first step, or is the last step, or any step, is that on the viewer's part to recognize and deal with that shame that they are projecting onto the performer?
I think it's very much a chicken and egg kind of question. I don't know if it's the first step or the last step, but it's in there. I think it's a both and. I think in humanizing performers, for instance, on my TikTok, my original TikTok anyway, went viral on TikTok, and I had a lot of people telling me thank you so much for showing you. And, because it largely became a very personal TikTok page. It wasn't just there to promote my porn. It was just hi, this is me
Sure.
And people are like, oh, wow, like I'd never really seen, the person behind the porn performer. And this was like really interesting. And then when I would answer their questions about the industry, a lot of them were like, wow, like this makes me feel a lot better about watching porn. Like this, it's nice to see this side, to know that what I'm consuming, is consensual. So I think in humanizing performers on TikTok, like people actually got more comfortable with their sexuality. And if they're working through their shame, I think it's a lot easier to humanize performers. So like, it's both. And I think it depends on the person.
It's like what is that thing? A feedback loop. Yeah, totally. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So then do you have to walk just a razor's edge though, in terms of humanizing yourself while also keeping certain people at bay? I mean, certain fans at bay. Like, again, we talked about that barrier that you don't want to cross, right? You don't want, some guy on Twitter to go, oh, Alison Rey, it's my girlfriend. And you go, okay, well, that's fucking crazy. She's not, but okay. How do you humanize yourself to that while also saying, I am a celebrity though. So, don't come in my backyard again. Don't fucking Taylor Swift me. You're not allowed in my neighborhood. Thank you.
Right. I've been fortunate enough that I haven't had that experience with my fans. And that is the other thing, is I don't really posture myself as a celebrity. Like that's the whole thing, is like, I am a human being and this is my job. And while I do enjoy my job, like I don't think I'm, more special than anybody else just because this is what I do for a living. And I think because of that, and that I'm open about that, I think it actually like desensationalizes me so that people aren't trying to cross those boundaries.
Okay.
I think there is something really appealing about having something that we can't have. And so maybe I hurt my career in certain ways because I'm probably like ostracizing myself from certain fans who like love the idea of like, I can't have her. Yeah, the fantasy. And like, I can't have her. So like, I'll pay whatever to like get like a piece of her. But that's just never been like, I've never been comfortable with that. Like it doesn't, like I enjoy making people feel good because like, that's who I am. And like, yes, of course, like a little bit of notoriety, like the attention, wonderful. But I'm not comfortable, having such a big divide between me and my fans, because I do think sex and just pleasure are such intimate experiences that I actually do enjoy having those with people. And I would much rather have a small set of devoted fans who really value the depth of myself that I give to them than a bunch of fans who only know me and appreciate me superficially.
Sure. Can I ask you, Shane, we've done this in the past. We haven't done this recently, but could you rank for me in order why you're in porn? Oh, no, not that other one, Shane. Maybe we'll get to that too. Can you rank for me in order why you're in porn? Money, the sex, the fame.
Ooh. I feel like I need to answer from when I got in to now, because like it has evolved.
A lot of people say that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I think when I first got into porn, it was the money.
Sure.
Hell yeah.
And then the sex and then the fame.
Okay.
Now, got to really think about this. I think now, I think it's now the money, the fame, the sex.
Okay. Well, see, that in a way
just seems natural. You know?
I'm not calling you out. I'm not saying whatever. Doesn't that in a little bit of a way contradict what you said a second ago in terms of the fame being second there? Like the money is always, this is your job. You want this to be your job.
Sure.
Would you take an office job for the same amount of money you make?
Well,
no, but that's not because of the sex or the fame.
Oh, why is the social
I don't
even mean fame. I mean so you can spread your message. Go ahead. Sorry. I'll stop.
That's okay. It's literally like I wouldn't take an office job if it was for the same amount of money, because I never want to work for anybody else again in my life.
Hell yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Fuck
I like the power and autonomy that I have over my schedule.
Sure.
I don't want to have to listen to anybody else ever.
Okay. Fair enough.
I feel like it makes sense, that progression. I feel like no matter why you get in it, I feel like eventually, if you're still in the industry, money, it makes sense for that to be your number one, because like this is your career, right? Like, so
why does anybody,
Yeah. I think where those last two place really tells you more about somebody who's stayed in a while. And the fame, I was thinking the same thing as you, Matt, like, involved with APAC, trying to spread social justice, humanize sex workers. You kind of need a little bit of fame if you're going to do any of that meaningfully,
Sure. I mean, we can't see you at a conference somewhere if they're like, oh, here's Alison Rey. She has 42 followers on Twitter. It's like, oh, all right. Well, her credit, what she says might make sense, but at the same time, like, who is she?
Yeah, who is she?
She told us.
So the fame comes along with it. But then again, there are other performers who the fame is, one of the most important things, getting your name across everything and spreading it, because then with that, the money comes along as well. So I totally get that. There's no real wrong answer to any of that.
Yeah. No, it's just kind of a philosophy. And then I think also, like, really the only reason, like, I was literally about to be like, you know what? No, actually, it's the same. Because like, I really had to think for a second whether it was sex or the fame. And the reason that sex and fame switch places is because when I got in, I was 18. I still didn't know what I liked. And there were just all these hot people that I wanted to have sex with that, like, I didn't have to like be awkward and like hit on people for. I didn't need to use Tinder. Like, they were just supplied to me.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, having been in the industry for 8 years, I know that most of the mainstream sex that is had is not that pleasurable. It looks great on camera and it's fun to watch, but it's not pleasurable like sex at home. So like, it's now sex is down on my list. Like, yes, I still love having sex with very hot people, and I do have a lot of fun doing it, but it's not nearly as pleasurable as I expected it to be when I got in the industry.
Makes sense. Let me run one of the old classic questions, Shane, and then you can bounce back. Sarah J, again, one of the first people we interviewed, has been offered X amount of thousands of dollars, more than I could even say no to do an anal scene. She never has. Okay. It's not her preference. She doesn't want to do it. 5 digits across the board. She's been offered. Not going to do it. What is something you would not take an amount of money? Oh, I guess, what did we used to call it, Shane? SAC. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
When we first started doing interviews, we would ask this question, and inevitably the girls would say one of SAC. It was shit animals kids. Or kids. And we would point out, hey, we knew that was out. Okay, we're not, like one of the first interviews, the girl goes, well, like, I wouldn't fuck a dog. And I was like, well, we didn't think you would. And I wouldn't think you'd say it on a platform like this. So SAC is out. We understand that. We're well aware of that. What is something that, regardless of the amount of money, you're like, I'm not going to shoot that kind of scene? Is there anything? There may not be. And then I have an inverse question to that after.
Yeah. I maybe like triple vag. I don't even want to try that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. At some point, and we talked about this with another girl as well. I'm sorry to always harken back to other interviews, but
whatever.
To triple vag, the guy in the middle is having sex with 2 guys, right?
Oh, dude, they're in a triangle. They're all having sex.
No, they're like, she's like,
okay,
they're like holding her up, and they're just like,
it's 3 dudes,
they're shoulder to shoulder.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm thinking of it like this, right? And what you're saying is wrong. So it's not 1, 2, 3. You're saying it's going in like that, because if it was 3 stacked, 1, you would have an enormously tall vagina. Second, the guy in the middle is getting his friction by rubbing on 2 other dudes.
Yeah, but no, this is not that. I don't think that's possible.
I've been watching porn for 25 years. I don't think I've ever seen
like for
Yeah.
I think that's more for double. I feel like maybe it wasn't triple vag, but like triple
I've seen triple anal before.
for
That's
sure.
real.
Yeah. So it's
Asshole
same
stretch.
physics.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So that's out. You just worry that's gonna send you home with an
Tear.
ice pack for a week, right?
Give you a
I just don't think I
episiotomy.
could even do it.
No. Double?
Like, I don't
Have you
think-
ever
I
done
don't-
double?
I have in my personal life, not for video, but
Sure. Are you
Good for you.
saving that for video, or is that something? Now,
Is
not
that just for
necessarily.
you?
I would. It was just like, I mean, it's hard to shoot, and it was like, yeah, like I would, but it's not like on my priorities list, and also like, it's for such a short amount of time.
sure.
And I couldn't do it for a studio because like I couldn't do it sober, like, because I can't relax enough to like let it happen. So like,
Okay.
can't shoot that for a studio.
Okay. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Now, the inverse of that question is you have your rate, say it's whatever number, and either this type of scene comes along, this type of studio comes along, whatever it is, something you just go, wow, I am a fan of that. And they offer you 20% less than your normal rate. That's what the normal pay is. Is there any type of scene or any type of studio or any person you would want to work with that you would take a discount from your normal rate to work with?
Ooh. Oh, that's such a complicated question because the first thing that came to mind was anything for Vixen Media Group, because I think their stuff is so beautiful. It's just, it looks like high fashion. It's very cool, luxury porn. However, because I know how much money they make, I would be offended if they wanted a discount from my rate, because my rates have, like, I've always kept them kind of like the same. Like, I've never, been like, well, I've been in for X amount of years, I deserve more. I'm like,
Right.
I do genuinely like my job. And I also know, like, just, supply demand.
You know your worth.
Stuff.
Totally.
I know my worth. And also I know that I'm, not a Sarah J, and I'm not going to get, like huge rates. So if they wanted a discount off of my rate, which is like a very, very normal, reasonable rate, I would be offended.
Sure.
Is there
If it was,
yeah, how about a type? Do you have a type of scene that you would like, a genre or something where you're like, wow, I've never really explored that before? And again, we're not talking Walmart rates. I'm saying we're taking you down from a Macy's to like a Target.
I think it would be more likely that I would do it because of the person I get to work with. And the person, well, so it would be the person I get to work with, or if it was for, let's say, a friend's website, I think is who I would, do that for. Because I think about, like, I was thinking, I don't know, maybe a scene for kink.com. I'm like, no, fuck that. Like, I want my full rate.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I think it would be like if it was somebody I really, really wanted to work with. But thinking about it, I'm like, I can't think of a single person that I haven't worked with that I want to work with that badly. Like, and it's not even that it's a lot of money. It's just like nobody comes to mind.
Have you worked with Manuel Ferreira?
I have not.
Okay. So no, okay.
I hear it's life-changing.
Yeah, that's all I hear. And there's that great clip of that girl. Oh yeah, there's some great clip of the girl
like
after they cut. She starts crying. She's like, "That was incredible. Thank you." Blah blah blah. The best marketing he's ever had, by the way. I mean, just insane marketing to see some girl like break into tears. Most of the time after I'm done, my chick cries too, but it's just because she's so disappointed, like hurt. But just hurt by the fact,
crying, staring at your sweating mass. Yeah. Dude. Manuel Ferreira is like the one dude. I would never let my wife be around because it's like she's gonna be gone. Yours too. He'll just snatch him.
Yeah.
I've hung out around Manuel. He was very attractive. I would take a discount for Manuel. It's just not like, I don't know. It's been so long since. I think at this point, I'm just like, I don't know. I want to like have sex with people who want to have sex with me.
Sure. Totally.
And since like he's never hit me up, I'm like, meh.
Totally. Fair enough. And
then everybody else that like I have that I do want to fuck, like we've probably done it for content if it wasn't for a studio. So I'm like, I've already done it. A studio is going to pay me my full rate.
I read in another interview of yours that you started watching porn very young, I believe. Did you have I'm waiting for the girl who is like around our age and starts naming off female performers that I loved and like be like, yes, yes. So like I have a wife, we've been together a long time. I had a long-term girlfriend before that. I've never been without getting laid, and yet I still love collecting porn, watching porn, knowing all about the ins and outs of porn. I don't know why. Maybe it's a mental illness of mine, but I really enjoy it. Did you have when you were younger? Okay. Let's keep it legal, but not legal. I just don't want to get pulled off of X videos for this. Did you have favorite performers, or what kind of searches would you go through? And did it happen like all of a sudden? Like did you just type in like boobs or something like that and it pops up, or like how does it work?
You mean like how did I start watching porn?
Yeah, how'd you get into it? Was that a friend's house? Was it? Go ahead.
Found a shoebox.
I was literally like, I just remember being in the cafeteria and my friend saying like, you have to look at this website.
Okay.
And I went home that day and I looked at the website. That was, so it was by myself and I was checking it out. Also, I may have seen some Girls Gone Wild commercials at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which came first.
It's a gateway drug.
Yeah.
Very much so. So that was how I got into that. My favorite performers were Cytheria.
Yep.
I loved watching her squirt.
Squirting. Yep. There you go.
Faye Reagan.
I cannot.
She's so hot. I saw her in your little marquee and I was like, is that Faye Reagan?
These are all my favorites, by the way. Yeah, these are all.
Okay.
No one can see them except you, because I'm hoping one of you girls one day will be like, oh, I've worked with her before. Faye Reagan, I love. Puffy red nipples. Not a huge fan, but they were. I mean, she's phenomenal. Go ahead. Continue if you have anyone else.
And then James Dean. I always really liked, all the kink stuff. I loved The Upper Floor. I loved watching Fucked Hard 18, the like massages in the blue room.
Okay.
I actually got to go to his house. I never worked for him, but like it was like 2 months into the industry. I shot with his friend, and then after the scene, we were like hanging out, and then the owner like invited us over, and I got to see the room, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
So we could take this out if you want me to. I'm not going to call anyone out by name, but that kind of brings to mind some things, and there's been a lot of stuff on Twitter lately. How do you work? I don't know how to phrase this. Cancellations in your industry, right? Is it just a let it sit and see if it clears up? Is it you'll never work with a bad person ever again, no matter how much good they do going forward? Is there, I'm not saying any names or anything like that. I think you know exactly what I'm. Yeah. How does that work in your own personal mindset? Like, because here was the weird thing of a bunch of cancellations I saw this last few weeks and seem to happen every few months. It's almost like, girls will get mad that other girls aren't backing them per se, right? Like girl A has a bad shoot with guy A. Now, guy A may have had a great shoot with girl B, no issues whatsoever, but girl A is expecting girl B to really like stand up for her and be like, no, I'll never work with this guy again. How do you approach that, and how do you see that type of stuff in your industry? Like,
how do you approach cronyism?
Sure. Yeah. Or click mentality, or because obviously, yes, get the scumbags out. Have to get the scumbags out. But what one person
where do you draw the line? Yeah.
What one person may interpret as being a scumbag. He rushed me and was screaming at me. That girl might have showed up 45 minutes late for a shoot with no makeup or anything like that. Is it just sussing out the details and making your own opinions on things, or is it what? Like, how would you approach that if somebody you enjoyed working with was all of a sudden on the chopping block?
Yeah, I mean, I have had that experience. I think there's 5 sides to every story, and cancel culture is great in some respects because it does like put some fear into people to not behave in some toxic ways. So I think that's helpful. Personally, I do believe like people, like obviously like people make mistakes and people are human beings, and there can be a lot of miscommunication and misunderstandings between people. And I try to I go off of my personal experience, or if the evidence is so blatantly like if they posted
overwhelming,
something,
sure.
if it's overwhelming, then I'm like, I just don't want to take my chances. But if it's somebody I'd already worked with before, who I had a good experience with, who I felt safe around, I'm not going to assume that this one and it's not that I don't believe that she had a bad experience,
sure,
but her, like sometimes like feelings aren't facts,
right?
And a lot of times like feelings get mixed up into these accusations, and I just like to try to be careful of that.
Totally. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And again, I always feel bad for the second girl in that equation, who's being told, like, why aren't you standing up? And I was watching girls fighting over the last few weeks saying, this is good, this one. I say, you got to show the proof, show the evidence, and just kind of, get the scumbags out. There are obviously scumbags. There's scumbags in every industry. There's guys making your hoagies that fucking stink and they're jerk offs. Okay. Get them out of there too. Like, that's how it is. But I don't know. Shane, do you have the go-to question, and then any other questions you might have?
Well, no, I just think with cancel culture, it's useful, like Christianity is useful, right? Kind of like how you mentioned before. I mean, it's like if somebody who would be doing something really awful is not going to do it because they feel like God is watching them, is going to punish them or judge them for it, then who's to say it's wrong,
Right.
Same for cancel culture. I mean, all opinions aside, it's like it serves the same role, at least, where if you would have gone out of your way to be a fucking prick, but now you're not going to because you're afraid people are going to report you to your job and get you fired, well, then maybe it's not such a bad thing.
You see it as a cross. I see it as like a big gun. And it can be pointed at the right person, the guy that deserves to get the gun pointed at them. But then sometimes it can just start spraying off everywhere. And then you got to watch out for that one, too.
Sometimes Dick Cheney's behind the trigger.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I don't know. That guy probably deserved it. I don't know enough about it.
His friend? Yeah, he deserved it.
Shane, your question?
Oh, I mean, I guess I could have just done a little more research on my own before this, but I'll just ask it. I mean, how do you like piss?
I love that. That was a great, no transition, just straight to it. I like it.
He did not go to film school, actually, which is shocking because you would think he has that radio idea behind him. Like, let's segue into this. So, piss, Alison Rey. How are you?
I have filmed a couple of things, like, literally just like me pissing in the woods. And then I'm pretty sure like my ex, like, he pissed on my face for a video. I don't want to drink it. Not into it.
Well, yeah,
I've,
I mean, that could be harmful.
Yeah. Not even like drink it. Like, I don't want it in my mouth. Like sometimes it's like and then it's just like dripping, but like, I'm not into that. We've done some other piss play. Like there's one, I think it's Elsa Jean, like really talked a lot about, like, she likes it when guys like piss inside her. So like I've tried that with my ex. It was an interesting experience. I don't know if I would do it again, but it was an experience.
Fair.
Have pissed on other people. That's fun. I like how powerful it feels.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. See that.
Fair.
And that's the dynamic I like. I like the power dynamic where it's like the woman's pissing all over the guy, and it's like, you're dirty, so here, take my waist,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Alison Rey. We're gonna wrap up with Alison Rey here. Alison Rey, ALISONREY on Instagram. Rayo Sunshine, AREYO Sunshine. On Twitter, Alison Rey XXX. OnlyFans, Alison Rey XO. Is that's a paid one, right?
Yes.
They always anytime we interview girls, they go, I have a free one and a paid one. Promote my free one. Fuck that. These people get out there and pay. Promote the paid one. Okay? Give this girl goddamn money. Alison Rey XO on OnlyFans, TikTok, Alison Unhinged. And for links to everything, go to AlisonReyFans.com. Alison Rey, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was nice talking to you guys.
You as well.
It was awesome.
For your worst friend, I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening to Your Worst Friend. Going deeper.